Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to sit back, relax, and let me guide you through another death-defying, globe-trotting, absolutely bananas adventure with the one and only Ethan Hunt. That is right! Today we are diving into the adrenaline-soaked world of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. This is the explosive conclusion to the two-part story that began with Dead Reckoning, and trust me, it pulls no punches. But before we start vaulting off cliffs and flying planes into lightning storms, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell so you never miss a mission, and of course, if you want early access, behind the scenes tea, and a voice in future reviews, join my Patreon for only $2 a month. Let's jump in. Now, let's talk about Tom Cruise, because honestly, how can we not? At this point, Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt isn't acting. It's just second nature. The man is the Mission Impossible franchise. And in The Final Reckoning, he delivers yet again with a performance that's not just physically jaw-dropping, but emotionally compelling too. He's dodging bullets like he's Neo's long-lost cousin, diving into deep-sea death traps that would give James Cameron stress dreams, and hanging from aircrafts like he's auditioning for an airshow stunt reel. Oh, and did I mention the collapsing tunnel sequence? Because that scene, chaos, debris flying, walls crumbling, Ethan sprinting for his life, it's pure, unfiltered Mission Impossible adrenaline. But what makes it more impressive is that Cruise manages to ground all of this madness in real stakes. Every wild stunt is matched with a performance that reminds us why Ethan isn't just a super spy. He's a man carrying the weight of the world and the lives of everyone he loves on his shoulders. It's classic Hunt, and it never gets old. But moving on from him, let's give a standing ovation to Hayley Atwell, who is continuing to crush it as Grace, introduced in Dead Reckoning Part 1 and now fully integrated into the IMF madness. What makes Grace so compelling is her unpredictability. She's not your cookie-cutter female spy. She's scrappy, resourceful, sometimes morally ambiguous, but always watchable. In this film, Atwell dials it all the way up, keeping pace with Cruise in car chases, bluffing her way through high-stakes negotiations, and throwing out sarcastic one-liners with just the right dose of British dry wit. But it's not just about the action. There's a real vulnerability to Grace this time around. She's not bulletproof. She's figuring things out as she goes, and that evolution feels earned. There's one particular moment, you'll know when you see it, where her trust is tested in a big way. And Atwell nails it with a flicker of doubt behind the eyes that says everything. She's more than just a new recruit. She's fast becoming one of the franchise's best additions. Simon Pegg as Benji has always been the lovable tech guy who panics mid-mission while having a nuclear warhead. But Final Reckoning gives him so much more to chew on, and Pegg eats it up. For starters, Benji is far more emotionally invested this time around. He's not just providing comic relief, he's becoming a genuine leader within the IMF. There are moments where you can feel the weight of the team's survival on his shoulders, and Pegg plays it with surprising gravitas. That said, don't worry, he's still funny. He still has the sarcastic quips and the "why is this happening again" energy we've come to love. But layered underneath is a man who's been through the ringer. There's one scene, no spoilers, where Benji is forced to confront the idea of loss, and Pegg delivers one of the most human performances we've seen in the franchise. This isn't the same Benji that we met in MI3. This is a man who has grown into his own. Ving Rhames has been with this series since day one, and while Luther has less screen time this time around, he still manages to leave a massive impact. Luther's presence has always been quiet strength, the kind of guy who doesn't need to be front and center to make you feel safe. And in The Final Reckoning, that essence remains. He doesn't get a ton of action scenes, but when he speaks, you listen. There's a late game monologue that's emotional, raw, reflective, that might just be one of the most heartfelt moments in the entire franchise. Sure, some of the lines feel a tad too polished, a little overly scripted, but Rhames' delivery brings the kind of gravitas that makes you forgive it. He reminds us that amidst all the chaos and stunt spectacle, Mission Impossible still has soul, and Luther is a big part of that. Pom Klementieff as Paris is back, and she's bringing layers. If Dead Reckoning introduced her as a cold-blooded assassin, Final Reckoning turns the spotlight and reveals the complexity behind the mask. First things first, her action scenes slap. Like, truly. But what's more surprising is the amount of emotional range Clementif gets to flex this time. Paris is dealing with loyalty, guilt, and the flickers of something resembling trust. And you can feel the internal battle play out across her face without a word. Now, yes, her connection with the team does feel a little fast-tracked, like someone hit the montage bond building button. But you know what? It kind of works. In a world where nuclear codes are swapped over coffee and helicopters explode every Tuesday, emotional shorthand is par for the course. And Paris sells it with style. And now, the queen herself, Angela Bassett as President Erica Sloane. First off, Bassett as the president? Yes. 1,000 times yes. She's commanding, conflicted, and carries the burden of leadership in a way that feels painfully real. What began as a supporting CIA role in Fallout has now evolved into one of the most complex and grounded figures in the franchise. Whenever she's on screen, you feel the gravity of her decisions. She's not a caricature of political power. She's a woman caught between moral lines, national security, and the personal ramifications of knowing Ethan Hunt. There's a moment in the film where she has to make a choice, and it broke me. Bassett plays it with trembling restraint that says more than any monologue ever could. And then we get to Gabriel, played by Esai Morales, and oh dear. Look, every great action franchise needs a great villain. Mission Impossible has had some fantastic ones. Davian in MI3, Solomon Lane in Rogue Nation and Fallout. But Gabriel? He's like the Diet Coke version of a baddie. No bite, no menace, just vibes, and not the good kind. He saunters in like he's the final boss in a PlayStation game with too much eyeliner and not enough threat. He's too performative, too smug, and not in a delicious Hans Gruber kind of way. More in a did someone forget to rewrite his scenes kind of way. And when his defeat comes, let's just say it lands with a thud. He's a weak link in an otherwise tightly coiled web. Now let's talk action. It's insane. The car chases, perfect. The shootouts are gripping, and the foot races, just give Tom Cruise an Olympic medal already. But two scenes stood out for me, the airplane sequence and the submarine sequence. One is adrenaline overload, high altitude, high risk chaos. The other, a slow burn suspense masterclass. Both prove why this franchise remains the gold standard for action filmmaking. Now, the story is where things get a little wobbly. The AI threat known as the Entity is timely, sure, but almost too timely. The way it manipulates data, strategy, and people feels a little Black Mirror Season 9, you know? I get that we're leaning into modern fears, but it does stretch believability, and it does require homework. This is not a casual entry to the franchise. If you haven't seen the franchise at all, especially MI1, Fallout, and Dead Reckoning, you will feel like you walked into part 3 of a spy novel mid-sentence. However, where this film soars, no surprise, is in the practical effects. Stunts, fights, explosions, gunplay, all executed with jaw-dropping precision. And when CGI is used, it's there to enhance, not overwhelm. This is how you blend practical and digital. This is how you create movie magic that doesn't feel plastic or fake. Mission Impossible continues to raise that bar. So, where do I land? Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning gets a solid A from me. It's not my favorite. Fallout, you still reign supreme. But it's far from the worst. It's slower, more introspective, and heavier on emotion. Think more MI2 than Rogue Nation, but still packed with everything we love about the franchise. Heart, danger, and Cruise doing things no human should. It has incredible stunts, memorable character beats, some weak villain work, and a slightly overcooked story, but the emotion and execution make this another strong entry in the Mission Impossible saga. Thanks for watching, agents. If you made it this far, you clearly survived the mission. So go ahead and like this video, subscribe, click that notification bell, and of course, once again, join my Patreon to support this channel and help me keep bringing you the best in movie breakdowns, sass, and cinematic chaos. Until next time, this message will self-destruct in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.